There are moments in life when you feel cut off, when doors that once opened easily now slam shut, when friends grow distant, when the noise of the world becomes silent and you are left only with yourself. And in those moments you wonder, why? Why does it feel like everything is slipping away right before something greater is supposed to happen? The truth is, isolation is not punishment. It is preparation. It is God pulling you aside, not because you are forgotten, but because you are being shaped. Just as a seed must go underground before it breaks through the soil, so too must you endure the silence before the breakthrough. Isolation strips away what is unnecessary. It removes distractions, it takes away the voices that drown out your own, and it forces you to sit with the raw truth of who you are. When God isolates you, He is not taking people away from you, He is taking away your dependence on them. He is teaching you to lean on Him, to discover that your strength was never in the crowd, but in the silence where He whispers to your spirit. You see, isolation refines vision. In the noise of the world, it is easy to lose sight of your path. But when you are placed alone, you begin to see clearly. You realize what really matters, what must stay, and what must go. The blessing that is coming requires a version of you that is lighter, stronger, and sharper. That transformation can only happen when you are removed from what weakens you. In the solitude, your faith is tested. It is easy to believe when everything is flowing, when everyone claps for you, when doors open wide. But when you are isolated, you learn what faith truly is, believing in the unseen, holding on to hope when there is no evidence, standing strong when no one else stands beside you. This is the kind of faith that attracts blessings because it is unshakable, it is pure, it is tested by fire. And most of all, isolation teaches you identity. When the applause is gone, when the titles are removed, when no one is watching, who are you? This is the question God wants you to answer in the stillness. Because when the blessing comes, you cannot be defined by what others say. You must be rooted in who you truly are. Only then can you carry the weight of what is coming without being crushed by it. When God isolates you before blessing you, the first thing He is teaching you is separation from the noise of the world, the noise of people's opinions, the noise of comparison, the noise of distraction. As long as you are surrounded by endless voices telling you who you should be, what you should do, and how you should live, you cannot clearly hear the whisper of God guiding your steps. Isolation, though painful, is the space where distractions fade, and your inner ear becomes sharp enough to recognize the sound of truth. It is not silence meant to break you, but silence meant to tune you. Just as a musician must tune their instrument before the performance, your soul must be tuned before the blessing. If you are out of tune, the blessing will not bring harmony, it will bring chaos. In this season, many people think they are forgotten or abandoned, but in truth they are being positioned. The silence is not empty, it is full of preparation. When you are alone, you begin to notice things you never saw before. You recognize the patterns in your thoughts, the tendencies in your behavior, the things that were once hidden beneath the noise. Suddenly, you realize that the crowd you thought you needed was not pushing you forward, but holding you back. You begin to understand that not everyone who claps for you wants to see you rise, and not every hand that reaches for you is there to lift you higher. God isolates you so that your vision is no longer blurred by the opinions of others. You see more clearly what truly matters, what deserves your energy, what aligns with your calling. In the quiet, your heart is refined. You learn to separate the temporary from the eternal, the surface from the substance, the illusion from the truth. You discover that peace does not come from having people surround you, but from standing firm in who you are even when no one stands beside you. This separation also teaches you discernment. When God brings the blessing, there will be many who are attracted to it, not because they value you, but because they desire what you carry. If you do not learn discernment in isolation, you will not know how to protect what has been given to you. You will hand your blessing to people who cannot honor it. Isolation is God's way of protecting you, training your sight, sharpening your instincts, and ensuring that when the blessing comes, you know how to carry it without losing it. The stillness of isolation is not punishment, it is preparation. It is God pulling you aside, not because you are weak, but because He sees your strength. It is His way of saying, before I place more in your hands, I want you to be sure of who you are without it. Only then can you step into the blessing with clarity, strength, and wisdom that no one can shake. When God isolates you, He is not just removing people from your life, He is removing your dependency on them. Too often, without realizing it, we lean on others for validation, for comfort, for a sense of belonging. We measure our worth by their approval, we shape our identity by their recognition, and we allow their presence to define our peace. But what happens when all of that is stripped away? What happens when the people you thought would never leave suddenly turn their backs, or when the ones you trusted most no longer walk beside you? That is when the deeper lesson of isolation begins. It is not about losing others, it is about finding yourself. Aloneness reveals the weight you are placing on others to hold you up, and when they are gone, you are forced to stand on a foundation that is not built on shifting sands, but on something unshakable. The silence forces you to look within and discover strength you did not know you had. It pushes you to stop waiting for someone else to tell you you are capable, and instead to prove it to yourself. This is where you learn to be anchored, not in applause or support, but in truth. Isolation is the classroom where independence of spirit is taught. It is where you begin to realize that people may walk with you for a season, but they are not meant to be the source of your destiny. That source lies beyond them. The moment you shift your reliance from people to a higher power, you experience freedom. The fear of rejection loses its grip. The anxiety of being left behind fades away. You begin to carry yourself with a confidence that cannot be stolen, because it no longer rests on the fragile hands of human opinion. This season also strips away attachments that were never meant for you. Some relationships are like scaffolding. They are there while you are under construction, but they are not part of the final structure. If they stayed too long, they would block the beauty of what you were becoming. God, in His wisdom, removes them so that you can rise into the fullness of who you were meant to be. You may grieve the loss, you may feel the sting of their absence, but one day you will look back and realize it was necessary. In learning to walk alone, you discover the power of walking with faith. You understand that even if the room is empty, you are not abandoned. Even if the path looks lonely, you are not walking it in vain. The isolation becomes a sacred space where you no longer rely on the strength of others to carry you, because you have learned to stand, to rise, and to walk with unshakable resolve. When the path you thought was certain suddenly closes, when the opportunities you prayed for seem to vanish, it is easy to feel abandoned, even punished. But often a blocked path is not rejection, it is redirection. It is the gentle but firm hand that prevents you from walking into a place not meant for you. You may not see it in the moment, but that closed door is often the very thing that saves you from greater pain. How many times in your life have you looked back and whispered, "Thank God that didn't work out"? At the time, it felt like loss, but later it revealed itself as protection. This is the hidden wisdom of obstacles. They are not always barriers, they are sometimes shields. There is a story written in the silence of your disappointments. Every no you encounter carries within it the seed of a better yes. But this requires patience, and patience is not easy when the heart longs for answers. The human mind is wired to crave certainty, to want the map laid out before the journey begins. Yet life does not unfold this way. The very detours you resist are shaping your strength, sharpening your focus, and preparing you for the destination you cannot yet see. If every prayer were answered instantly, if every door opened the moment you knocked, you would never learn the art of trust. you would never grow into the depth that waiting and enduring creates within you. Think of the tree in winter, its branches bare, its beauty hidden. To the eye, it may seem lifeless, but beneath the soil, roots are digging deeper, unseen, preparing for the bloom of spring. When your path is blocked, it is not that your life has stopped. It is that your roots are being forced to grow. You are being anchored for something greater. The frustration you feel is not a punishment, it is preparation. It is here, in the moments of delay, that character is forged. You learn resilience not when everything flows easily, but when everything seems to stand still. You discover faith not when the road is clear, but when it is clouded with uncertainty. And in that process, you come to understand that what you thought you needed was only a fraction of what is truly waiting for you. A blocked path is never the end. It is the space between what was and what will be. So, the next time a door slams shut, do not collapse in despair. Step back, breathe, and recognize, this is not the universe denying you. This is life protecting you. This is the unseen hand saying, not here, not now, but trust, because there is something better waiting, and you will understand it in time. Isolation is often misunderstood. When life pulls you away from familiar places, from people you once relied on, from circles where you felt comfortable, it can feel like rejection. You might ask yourself, why am I being left behind? Why am I suddenly alone? Yet in truth, isolation is not abandonment, it is refinement. It is the sacred space where noise is stripped away, so you can finally hear the whisper within. When the crowd disappears, when distractions are removed, you begin to see what you could not see before. Solitude reveals the truth that was always there, but hidden beneath the weight of too many voices. Imagine a sculptor chiseling a block of stone. Each strike seems violent, each piece falling away feels like loss. But without that process, the masterpiece within the stone would never be revealed. This is what happens in seasons of isolation. What is unnecessary is removed. What is temporary is stripped away. And though it may feel painful, what remains is something truer, something more aligned with who you were always meant to be. In the quiet of isolation, strength is born. You learn that your worth is not tied to the validation of others. You discover that the well of resilience within you runs deeper than you ever imagined. When there is no one else to lean on, you are forced to lean on the unseen presence that has been guiding you all along. This is why isolation precedes elevation. It builds the inner foundation strong enough to hold the blessings that are to come. Without it, the weight of what you are asking for might crush you. With it, you are prepared to rise. Think about the seed buried in the soil. Alone in the darkness, hidden where no eye can see, it undergoes its transformation. The soil presses down on it, the silence surrounds it, and yet in that very pressure, life begins to stir. Roots push downward, unseen growth begins. Only after this hidden process can the seed break through the surface into the light. Isolation is that soil. It may feel like darkness, but it is actually the birthplace of your becoming. So when life removes you from the noise, do not mistake it for punishment. When friendships fade, when doors close, when you find yourself walking alone, remember, this is not the end of your story, but the shaping of your spirit. It is in that stillness where you are taught to trust, to see differently, to grow deeper. And one day, when you step out of that season, you will realize that the silence was never empty. It was full of preparation. The very isolation you once resented will reveal itself as the place where you found your truest strength. When blessings are about to arrive, there is always a shift, a separation, a stirring that cannot be ignored. It feels like the ground beneath you is moving, like doors that once opened with ease are suddenly locked, and paths that seemed so clear are now blocked. This is not a mistake. It is the unseen hand of preparation. Before something great is placed in your life, There must be a cleansing of what cannot go with you. Not every friend, not every habit, not every version of you is meant to step into the next chapter. Isolation becomes the threshold where the old is left behind and the new is born. This is why the silence before blessings can feel heavy. You sense something is coming, but you cannot yet see it. Your heart longs for answers, but only questions fill your mind. In this space you are stretched. Patience is demanded of you, faith is tested. Yet it is here that you learn to trust without seeing, to believe without proof, to walk without a map. It is not weakness that is being built, it is vision. It is the ability to hold on to light even when surrounded by shadows. Every blessing carries weight. To carry it well, you must first be strengthened in the unseen. A crown placed on an unprepared head becomes a burden, not a gift. Wealth placed in unsteady hands brings destruction, not growth. Love entrusted to an unhealed heart creates pain, not wholeness. This is why blessings often come after the pruning, after the waiting, after the silence. The isolation you feel is not a pause, it is a process. It is heaven ensuring that when what you asked for arrives, you will not sabotage it, but honor it. Think of the eagle high above the mountains. Before it soars, it must first endure the lonely nest, the hunger, the trembling moments of learning to trust its wings. In those moments, it does not understand why it is alone, why it must leap into the unknown sky. But once it spreads its wings and feels the wind lift it higher, the reason becomes clear. The isolation was not punishment, it was preparation. So when blessings feel delayed, when your path is quiet and your circle becomes small, take heart. You are not being left behind, you are being lifted higher. The silence is not the absence of blessing. It is the womb where blessing is forming. And when it finally unfolds, you will not only see the miracle, you will understand why you first had to walk alone. What feels like distance is not abandonment, but a sacred preparation for something greater than you imagined. Every closed door, every lonely night, every unanswered question is shaping you, sharpening you, making space within you for the blessing that is coming. The silence you endure today will one day turn into a testimony of strength, and you will see that the isolation was never meant to break you, but to build you into the person capable of carrying what is destined for you. Stand firm, trust deeply, and hold on to hope, because what awaits you is worth every moment of waiting.